Welcome to back to our cannon project. And the good news for us is that right now we have a cannon that can rotate and it can go up and down the pole. It can be fired, and it can be fired at some things. For example, we have obstacles and platforms, obstacles on platforms in some cases. So you can actually fire those at the obstacles, and they just if they hit an obstacle, the obstacle in some cases goes flying. Sometimes the obstacles, depending on some of the characteristics that you put into the cannonballs and the obstacles, maybe they show a little bit more resistance. But in this assignment, what we're going to do is we're going to allow the user to destroy the obstacles. Okay, so if you fire a cannonball, what we would like to do is see the cannonball collide with that obstacle and then destroy it. Now, but by destroy it, of course, it's not actually destroying anything. In our game, what we're going to do is cause it to remove from the canvas. So there's some hints for you guys as we start this assignment. So coming down, let's see, where do we want to start? Okay, so we need some if statements. Now, if statements are going to go into the draw function, but before I go there, what I need at the very top of my code is the ability to fire the cannonball. So firing the cannonballs. Okay. Now, what this means is I'm going to say let. I'm going to have a new variable. I'm going to call it fired cannon. I can spell cannon right. Equals, and this will be false to start with, because when the game starts, of course, the user has not fired the cannon. But by firing the cannon, what we're going to do is we're going to take each of the cannonballs, and we're going to make them essentially their own objects. And we're going to do that with a for loop, but we need a for loop inside of an if, conditional if statement. Okay, but again, notice what we just did there. We made a variable a Boolean statement. Okay, but I'm relating it to what we're trying to do, and that's fire the cannon. So down here, again, I'm going to be in the draw function. In the draw function, there's still students putting this code outside of the draw function. I don't really know what to tell you guys in order to get you to fix that, but you do need to fix it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with errors or blank screens, which we don't want. And just like before, I guess I should have done this already, but if you have any errors or your code is not working, don't do any more code. What you need to do is fix it and then make sure it's working before you do any more code. All right. So I've given myself the space for the note. When the ball is launched first. Okay. So how are we going to launch it? If what occurs? Well, if fired cannon is true, then what do we want to happen? Well, that's what we got to decide right now. Is if the cannon is fired, what we want to do is make each of the cannonballs their own cannonball instead of making them all part of the group, because as of right now, the cannonballs are in this group right here. Where did my cannonballs go? All the way down here. See, the cannonballs are in a group, but what we're going to do is change that so that each of the cannonballs are in their own or they're on their own. And we're going to do that with a for loop. So a for loop is going to run through each of the cannonballs, and it's going to make it its own object. So we're going to do that by saying let, and here I need a new variable, which I can see up above. We already named it cannonball right there. Let cannonball of what group? Well, the cannonballs. Oh, let's see if I can spell that right. Okay, so these objects from or of this group are going to all be made their own object. Okay, and now that I have that, I can say what I want it to do. You know what? Let's go ahead and give ourselves another note right here. This is looping through all the cannonballs. Again, it makes them their own object. Okay. So if that happens, then the cannonballs will be their own objects. But then remember also that down below, the obstacles are also part of their own group. So we want all of them to be a part of their own group. Otherwise, if you don't put in this line of code, when you fire the cannonball and hits it, once we get that code in there. Once it collides with those obstacles, it would remove all of the obstacles instead of just one. So we're going to put in another for loop. So again, this would be looping through all the obstacles, again, to make them their own obstacles. So this would be, it would make them their own objects in a for loop with let. So we've seen this before, obstacle of obstacles, where to go, obstacles, right here like this. And again, this is going to be inside of this for loop. So our obstacles, again, obstacles is the group. Now we've just made obstacle, where did it go, obstacle, part of obstacles right there, okay? So by doing this, and of course we don't have obstacle anywhere, we've just barely defined it, we don't necessarily want it to be a universal variable, but if that does happen, then what we want to occur is to check for collisions between cannonballs and obstacles. Okay, so we're checking, right? That's an if statement. If something is true, then we'll make something else happen. And what is the thing we want to know if it is true? Well, if the cannonball dot collides collides with what? Obstacle, close parentheses. Don't forget this second parentheses. You guys saw it in that last project where I forgot one of these, and it really jacked everyone up. So don't forget that. If that happens, then what do we want to do? We want it to appear that it is destroying the obstacle. So what are we going to do? We're going to remove the obstacle. Now I'm putting more notes in here probably than you'd need, but again, this for loop stuff is a little bit new to us. So what are we going to do? We're going to take the obstacle, again, because that's the object now that has been created from the group obstacles. Obstacle will be removed, obstacle dot remove, R-E-M-O-V-E, parentheses, semicolon. And here we can see we have closing fancy brackets for all of our opening fancy brackets. Okay, I think this one I did the wrong way, so don't forget. Looks like I had made a typo there. I can't test my code, you guys, so make sure you're testing your code as you go. You shouldn't have any errors. But with this, now you should be able to, well, let's see. I think I forgot a line of code. So, let's see what happens. Oh, I think that kind of works, but what I forgot to do in this one. So remember how we made the fired cannon false. Now you should be able to actually still run your game, but when it was fired, so if they press F, the F key for me, then it would have made the fired cannon variable true. So that's what I need to do in this one, is we're going to make the fired cannon variable true. Okay, so again, it's based on if the user has pressed the F key, then fired cannon variable will now be true. Okay, so again, this still just kind of fixed the code. It forces this to now be true instead of at the beginning up here where we see it starts as false and it remains false until the user presses the F key. But by pressing the F key, it makes this true, and when it makes it true, then it goes through this this if statement and these for loops and the other if statement. Okay, so that will do it for this assignment. Again, there's most of the code. Well, at the top, of course, we had the variable, but well, that's way at the top. So don't forget to put that variable up at the top. It was fired cannon, or lead fired cannon, equals false. But here's the code that we had. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Again, if your code is not running, make sure you don't put any more code in. If it's not working right now, because we're going to do more with this assignment, and if you just keep putting in more code even though it's not working, you're going to end up with problems, and you're going to have to backtrack anyways to this assignment or a specific line of code to find where your errors are. Find your errors, fix them, and then move on. But that'll do it for this assignment. We'll see you guys in the next one.